Two charged and 5 released as Trinidad police forge ahead with investigations into an alleged terror plot. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, February 16. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 2 of the 13 people detained by police in connection with their investigations into an alleged terrorist attack to destabilize Trinidad and Tobago during the just-ended Carnival celebrations have been charged. Adil Mansano and Alicia Thomas appeared in court on Friday on gun-related offenses and were remanded to prison. The police had earlier announced the release of 5 other detainees. The announcement came as members of the Muslim Roundtable met with Attorney General Faris Alwari, National Security Minister Edmund Dillon, and Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams on Thursday. Speaking to local reporters after the meeting, Imam Shiraz Khan of the New Islam Masjid said the Muslim community did not believe the police investigation stemmed from any feelings of Islamophobia on the part of either the government or police. Now, one of the men released was Tariq Mohammed, son of Trinidadian radio personality Shamoon Mohammed, who said he was surprised at his son's detention but happy he was back at home. More in this report from Mark Bassant of TV6 News.
After being detained for almost a week, Tariq Mohammed was reunited with his family last night outside the Belmont police station. Mohammed was one of the first persons picked up by police last Thursday for questioning in a suspected terror plot that local police, along with the help of their U.S. counterparts, uncovered that was set to disrupt Carnival celebrations. Mohammed was questioned at the Riverside Plaza in Port of Spain in the presence of his attorneys, Radia Ali and Evans Welch, for close to half an hour. His attorneys told TV6 that their client opted to remain silent during the interview. They say the police were reminded of legal documents threatening a lawsuit by Mohammed's family if evidence was not brought against him. Close to 10:30 last night, Mohammed was taken to the Belmont police station and released and was met by relatives. Mohammed's father, who spoke to TV6 News via phone, said his family for years had given nothing but love and respect to this country.
Our family has a history of promoting color of culture on radio, television, on stage for more than since 1950. More than 60 consecutive years, starting with my uncle Kamaluddin, Shamsuddin and Moin Mohammed, and continuing with the younger generation like myself and Rafi and Jamal and so on. So we were greatly shocked to hear that our family now being considered as people trying to disrupt the Carnival celebrations of Trinidad and Tobago. So that was a great shocker.
Mohammed said although his son was one of the men detained in the alleged plot, he was in full support of the law enforcement authorities doing their work.
We were totally unaware about this so-called Carnival plot for disruption and so on. So we were greatly surprised when they came to our home and searched it and found nothing using sniffer dogs, etc. But we respect the right of the state to protect the citizens over whatever report they might get. We don't know how credible it is. They're claiming it's credible, but fine, that we don't see anything wrong with that. What we didn't like is how they broke down the doors and cuffed one of my sons and kicked him and asking, where are the explosives?
TV6 News reached out to the family of Fawaz Ali, who was also released after being detained in central Trinidad. But his family said they were not willing to comment on the matter at this time.
The Jamaica government will be seeking approval for several legislative measures aimed at improving crime-fighting efforts and better enabling law enforcement agencies to catch criminals. The focus on fighting crime was outlined in the throne speech delivered by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen on Thursday ahead of the tabling of the 2018-2019 budget. TVJ's Vashan Brown reports.
The government will this year seek to make changes to a number of legislation to tackle crime, like the Firearms Act, the Fingerprint Act, the Proceeds of Crime Act, as well as the Parole Act, among others. There will also be changes to the Constitution to facilitate the merger of the Police Services Commission and the Police Civilian Oversight Authority. It was in last year's throne speech, but the government will again attempt to replace the Constabulary Force Act with a Police Service Act, as it seeks to create a modern intelligence-led police service.
The government will continue to focus on strengthening its administrative and technological capabilities, crime prevention, community safety measures, and rehabilitation and redemption.
There is also a plan to strengthen the justice system. Part of the plan is to modernize the system, starting with reducing the backlog of indictments and the summary matters in the parish courts.
The Justice Ministry will also work with the courts and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to increase the number of staff in the courts, to increase efficiency and effectiveness.
The government says the planned National Identification and Registration Authority regulations will be developed and tabled in the House of Representatives by September this year. Government lawmakers passed the National Identification and Registration Act last November, following objections to provisions in the law from the parliamentary opposition as well as other civil society groups.
Ensuring that every citizen of Jamaica can be identified and known to the state so that their rights and entitlements can be preserved and planned for in advance is necessary. It is necessary for the country to continue on that path to prosperity.
Meanwhile, Minister of Finance and the Public Service Audley Shaw outlined a tight 773 billion Jamaican dollar budget with clear indications of increased focus on national security, tourism, education, health, and reducing the country's huge debt burden. The budget is close to $32 billion below last year's spend. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service ended up with $240 billion of the $560 billion allocated for recurring expenditure. Other ministries receiving major increases were tourism, national security, economic growth and job creation, education, health and local government. Shaw says the budget had been formulated on the premise that all public sector trade unions would accept a proposed 4-year, 16% agreement in time to facilitate payments related to the first full year of the new wage agreement. Those negotiations are expected to be concluded by next Tuesday. Shaw told legislators that several of the unions representing some 2/3 of the public sector have already indicated their agreement with the the proposed package of increases, and he says that as a result of the imminent signing of the agreement, government will be tabling a second supplementary estimates to facilitate payment of the retroactive portion of the increase by the end of next month. Over in Bermuda, Premier David Burt announced a $2.18 million budget that he says is designed to move the country away from austerity measures and towards stimulus packages. It was his first fiscal package since his Progressive Labour Party took office in 2017. The economic stimulus package includes a reduction in payroll taxes for low-income earners, elimination of the employer portion of payroll tax for disabled employees, and tax relief for local first-time entrepreneurs.
Mr. Speaker, in the Progressive Labour Party's 2017 election platform, we pledged to, and I quote, provide new tax relief for first-time entrepreneurs to assist them in creating Bermudian jobs, end quote. Accordingly, new entrepreneurs who register and meet the criteria established by the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation in the creation of a new business will be exempt from the employer portion of payroll tax for themselves and any employee for the first year of business.
Burt also announced that a long-standing 60-40 rule designed to guarantee majority Bermudan ownership would be reversed, even though he expected would face opposition from both sides of the political spectrum.
We will increase access to capital for Bermudians by reforming the 60-40 rule to one that only requires 40% Bermudian ownership in order to operate in the domestic economy. Mr. Speaker, I recognize that this proposal will face opposition from both sides of the political spectrum. There will be those who want to protect their existing interests, and there will be those who feel that allowing entrepreneurs access to foreign capital, enabling them to compete, is not consistent with putting Bermudians first. However, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the people of Bermuda that the government will consult and will strike the right balance to ensure that the revision of this rule has the intended consequence of providing more opportunities for Bermudians to become wealth-generating owners and not just employees.
Premier Burt said total expenditure for the year would be $1.18 billion, which is an increase of $2.5 million on the 2017-2018 total. Revenues is estimated at $101.09 billion, 4.6% higher than the original estimate for the last financial year. Staying in Bermuda, former Premier Michael Dunkley, who led the ruling One Bermuda Alliance to a crushing defeat in last year's general election, has returned to the front ranks of the party following a reshuffle. He is now Shadow Minister for Government Reform. Dunkley resigned as OBA leader after the July 2017 election defeat and said he was heading to the party's backbenches. Former OBA Premier Craig Canonia was subsequently given the shadow portfolio of public works after Jeanne Arthurdine became opposition leader in November. But an OBA spokesman told the Royal Gazette newspaper that Canonia told Arthurdine last month he wished to take a step back and focus on his business. The opposition plans to hold a retreat in a couple of weeks' time. And coming up in Caribbean Newsline, the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union wins a landmark case against Royal Bank of Canada. The details after the break.
Come and experience fun, meet amazing people, and enjoy fantastic food at the 22nd Annual Second Music Festival. 5 days of festivities from June 27th to July 1st of 2018, with main stage performances from the 28th to the 30th. Here's the first wave of confirmed acts. The legendary Patti LaBelle, Queen of Dancehall, Spice, Miss Lauryn Hill. Many more acts to be announced. Book now and save the date. For more information, log on to SaintKittsMusicFestival.net. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
So that was the black pepper. Now she's gonna add the 1 tablespoon of green seasoning.
Welcome back. The Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union, the ABWU, has won a landmark case in the Industrial Court against the Royal Bank of Canada. The union triumphed in its challenge of a unilateral decision by the financial institution not to pass on negotiated increases to employees who had reached the maximum salary scales in their respective categories. ABWU General Secretary David Messiah said paying negotiated increases to all employees in the bargaining unit had been the established practice during back more than 20 years. Well, that's dating back more than 20 years. But in 2004, RBC took a unilateral decision to discontinue the practice of across-the-board increases for all members in the bargaining unit. And for almost 15 years, subsequent agreements between the union and RBC were concluded without that issue being settled. All efforts to resolve the matter through the processes established by the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Code failed, and in 2013 the matter was referred to the Industrial Court. Messiah says the union now has to determine exactly how many workers have been affected by the bank's practice in order to ascertain the total amounts outstanding to these employees, some of whom no longer work for RBC. Still in Antigua, the country's tourism and cultural officials are trying to woo more Trinidadians to its shores, particularly for carnival celebrations later this year. Marketing efforts in 2017 resulted in arrivals from Port of Spain being one of Antigua's regional tourism market that showed growth. Now, officials are trying to boost their numbers even further, and they used the opportunity of Trinidad and Tobago's just-ended carnival to launch Antigua and Barbuda's July 24th to August 7th carnival, billed the Caribbean's greatest summer festival. The Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority, in collaboration with the Antigua and Barbuda Festivals Commission, engaged in a week-long roadshow in Trinidad that culminated with a showcase of Antigua's veteran and rising soca stars alongside Trinidadian artists. Tourism Minister Charles Max Fernandez said the promotional efforts would go a long way in raising Antigua and Barbuda's profile among the affluent segment of Trinidadians who travel extensively to other countries to experience Carnival. Guyana's President David Granger is promising commission of inquiries into the massacres that occurred during the early 2000s. He says the families of the victims deserve answers. Javon Vickery of HGP Nightly News has the details of that story.
David Granger referred to the period of the early 2000s as a period of troubles. It was during that period that hundreds of Guyanese were violently killed, many in execution style. Mr. Granger observed that no inquiries nor inquests had been initiated to sniff out who were responsible for the deaths. While the Commission of Inquiry into the deaths of several men at Lindo Creek is actively pursuing the truth, the President gave a list of incidents during that period that will need answers in inquiries that will follow after the Lindo Creek COI is completed.
You've started one massacre at a time with the Lindo Creek massacre. Massacres which are to be investigated in due course, according to Kitty in September 2002, in Lamahal Gardens in October 2002, in Border in November 2002, Buxton Friendship in June 2003, Prashad Nagar in June 2003, Agricola Echoes in February 2006, La Bonne Intention, or as my Francophone friends would say, La Bonne Intention, in April 2006, in Bagotsong Echoes in August 2006, at Blackbush Pold in August 2006, in Lusignan in June 2008, in Bartica in February 2008.
He affirmed that inquiries are not meant to be used as political weapons to target any political figure, but rather to give affected families closure. President Granger said that the apparent inability of the police force to restrict criminal violence during that period eventually led to the formation and rise of death squads.
It revealed complicity between rogue elements of the security services and the drug lords. It exposed the infiltration of rogue elements into the force. It rendered the security forces vulnerable and exposed some of its innocent members to unwarranted death.
The head of state further asserted that it is incomprehensible that there were so many atrocities taking place between 2002 and 2008 during the tenure of the Jagdeo-led regime.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, United Arab Emirates booked their spot alongside West Indies in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers. That's coming up in sport. We'll be right back.
Come and experience fun, meet amazing people, and enjoy fantastic food at the 22nd Annual Seconds Music Festival. 5 days of festivities from June 27th to July 1st of 2018, with main stage performances from the 28th to the 30th. Here's the first wave of confirmed acts. The legendary Patti LaBelle, Queen of Dancehall, Spice, Miss Lauryn Hill. Many more acts to be announced. Book now and save the date. For more information, log on to SakeItsMusicFestival.net. The Seconds Music Festival, an experience like no other.
So make sure you get all the milk that's in the shot. It's kind of like fudge. Now what I'm gonna do is put my sprinkles in there.
Now understand that what you now see here in this area is absolutely nothing to compare with what David Carrington and the workmen came upon at this point of time in the cave. Yet another challenging job which these brave men sought to overcome and were successful in doing so. It was a very narrow passage through which the explorers, Tony Mason, Ole Sorensen, and of course the enslaved crawled to reach all the way down to Cascade Pool.
United Arab Emirates booked their spot alongside West Indies at the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe starting next month after beating Nepal by 7 runs to win the ICC Cricket League Division 2 title on Wednesday. With the triumph, UAE have been installed in Group A of the March 4th to 25th tournament, along with the likes of Ireland, the Netherlands and Papua New Guinea. Nepal, meanwhile, will do battle in Group B alongside Afghanistan, Hong Kong, Scotland and host Zimbabwe. UAE skipper Rohan Mustafa warned that based on the tenacity displayed over the last week, his side would be a force to be reckoned with throughout the upcoming qualifiers. West Indies, the highest-ranked side in the tournament, opened their campaign on March 6th against UAE at the Old Hararean Sports Club in Harare. The Caribbean side will then take on PNG 2 days later and Ireland on March 10th before wrapping up their preliminary round with a clash against the Netherlands. The top 3 from each group will advance to the Super Sixes, where they will each play 3 matches against teams they did not meet in the preliminaries. The finalists will secure the final 2 berths at the ICC World Cup scheduled for England next year from May 30th to July 15th. James Adams and Joe Weatherly hammered half-centuries as English County Hampshire made light work of combined campuses and colleges, Marooners brushing them aside by 9 wickets in the battle of the bottom-placed teams in Group A of the Regional Super 50 on Thursday. Choosing to bat first at Kensington Oval, Marooners were bundled out for 124 in the 34th over, with Trinidadian Kajon Osley top scoring with an attacking 50 and Captain Kyle Corbin chipping in with 31. In reply, Hampshire lost Thomas Alsop cheaply for 11 in the 5th over, but Captain Adams hit an unbeaten 66 and Weatherly 56 not out to see the visitors to victory with 22 overs left. Adams faced 68 balls and struck 6 fours and a 6, while Weatherly hit 8 boundaries with an 88-ball innings as the pair shared a 114-run unbroken second wicket partnership. The win was Hampshire's second in 7 matches, while Marooners slid to the bottom of the standings with their 5th defeat. And switching to badminton, Jamaica crushed hosts Trinidad and Tobago in 5 sets in the opening clash of the Pan Am Continental Team Championships. TV6's Vinod Nawani took in the action at the indoor facility in Tacarigua and filed this report.
It was a rough opening morning for Trinidad and Tobago in the Pan Am Continental Championships being held in Tacarigua. Playing against Jamaica, TNT's Nicholas Bonkowski lost his match 21-5, 21-11 to Dennis Coke. Then Naeem Mohammed went under 21-13, 21-9 to Gareth Henry in the other clash, before Ronaldo Sinanan was in action. Sinanan never had it easy in his game against Matthew Lee, despite putting up a strong fight. Having lost the opening set 16-21, Sinanan came back hard at Lee to take the second one 21-15. But it was Lee who would dominate in the deciding set and clinch it 21-11. Disaster for TNT. On to the doubles, and it was much of the same old, same old. Bonkowski and Mohammed teamed up against Coke and Anthony McNee. Coke and McNee went on to beat the TNT duo in 2 straight sets, the scores being 21-9, 21-11, making it 4 straight wins for Jamaica. And in Game 5, Anil Sequel and Ronaldo Sinanan came up against Lee and Samuel Ricketts, but the imperious Reggae men won 21-7, 21-12 to make it a 5-0 clean sweep.
And that's the sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Again, the major developments of this day: 2 charged and 5 released as Trinidad police forge ahead with investigations into an alleged terror plot. And in sport, United Arab Emirates booked their spot alongside West Indies in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports, round the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.